So welcome to this Camtasia video production workshop. This is the basic workshop, and let us introduce ourselves. My name is Sharon, and I'm Instructional Design Assistant from the Technology Enriched Learning Initiative, TELI. My supervisor, Dr. Leon Lei, is not able to join today, but apart from myself, I also have another colleague, Cindy, who is also an Instructional Design Assistant from TELI. She'll be one of the instructors as well. And we also have Alice and Irene, who are our tele interns and a master student from the Faculty of Education. So they will also be the instructor today. So here is an overview of what we're going to cover. I'm giving a brief welcome session, and then we'll move on to a hands-on session. My colleague Terence is assigning you to our breakout rooms, dividing into the Mac breakout room as well as the Windows breakout room. So in that hands-on session, we're going to cover 5 steps. First, we're going to introduce the Camtasia interface because this is a basic workshop. We want to give you a brief introduction first. And then we'll move on and talk about recording and editing your first screencast using the Camtasia recorder. And then we'll move on to talk about video editing basics and adding simple annotations. Then move on and talk about audio editing basics. And finally, how do you export your video project? We'll not come back to this main room, so you can stay in your breakout room and then you can ask your instructor any questions in that breakout room. So now, Terence, may I know the participants ready to be sent to the breakout room? So welcome to this breakout room. This is the breakout room for the Mac users. And we also have the handout. So you can go to this link, hku.to/cam basic handout, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So in this handout, we're going to demonstrate, I'm going to demonstrate the steps step by step. And then there are some exercise times for you to try out the functions later on. You can also refer back to this handout after the workshop for you to practice on your own. Okay, so let's get started. Let me go back to my slides. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the Camtasia interface. I assume that a lot of you don't have experience in using Camtasia, so I'm going to start with the very, very basics, which is the interface. So here is then overview of what Camtasia looks like. So on the left-hand side is the toolbar. So on the toolbar, you see these orange boxes. You can see there's media, favorites, library, annotations, transitions, etc., and etc. So in this workshop, we're just going to focus on media, favorites, and annotations. And the other functions you feel free to try out after this workshop on your own, but we're not going to cover in this workshop, okay? So when you click on media, you see media bin. So media bin is somewhere for you to import the media. For example, your video clips, your audio clips, your narration, your background music, etc., and etc. Okay, so in the middle part, with the black box is your canvas. So the canvas, this purple box, is for you to preview your project. So later on, when you try out the annotations, you click and drag and drop to the canvas here, you see how it looks like in your video. So you can click on the play button and you can see how it looks like in your video in the canvas. On the right-hand side, this green box is the properties. So the properties is for you to edit the settings of your video, your audio, and your effects. So take annotations as an example. Again, when you drag and drop to the canvas, you can see there are a few more settings on the properties later on. You can change the color of your callout, your square, your text, as well as the size of your text, okay? So you can edit the more detailed settings here under properties. And underneath is the timeline, this orange box here. So there are two things that I want to focus on the timeline. So there's this magnifying icon where you can see the minus icon and the plus icon. So the minus icon is for you to zoom out of the timeline, so where you can get an overview of the project. And the plus icon is for you to zoom in of the timeline, so you can get more detailed view of the clips per second. So now you can see it's only 15 to 30 seconds, but if you want to have a closer look of what is happening between second 15 to second 17, then you can zoom in using this plus icon, okay? Another thing is the tracks. So you can see there's track 1 and track 2 in this image. So the timeline is organized into layers. So media put on top, for example, like track 2, will cover the content on track 1. So if you put a black box on track 2, you'll not be able to see the content on track 1. So it's a layering system, okay? So now I'm going to show you what it really looks like in Camtasia. So when you click on Camtasia on Mac, you be able to see this page. So you see a pop-up on of Camtasia. So on the left-hand side, you see Get Started. There are 4 buttons that you can click on: New Project, New Recording, Open Project, and New from Template. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the Camtasia recorder for you to record your screen. So there's a second button. You click on this new recording button. You click on it to launch the Camtasia recorder. So now you should be able to see this Camtasia recorder. There are 4 boxes appearing on your screen. So the first box is for you to select the area, the region that you want to do that screen cap, okay? The second one is your face camera. Let me switch it up. So now I'm in a green room. So if you want your webcam to, if you want your face to appear in the video, you can switch it on. If you don't want, you just switch it off, okay? And the third one is your microphone. So if you just want to do a screen capture, you just leave it the first button on. If you don't want any narration, you can just switch it off, okay? But let's say if you want to do the whole video with screen cap and your narration, you can switch it, the first one on and this one, the microphone on. The final one is called system audio, which is the computer sound, the sound of your computer. So if you're playing a video and you want to record it in your video, so you can switch it on as well. But now I'm just going to switch it off. So you should be able to see this green box surrounding my desktop. So this is the region that I want to record. So if you don't want to, if you want to change the region, you can click on this 2 triangles icon. You click on it and you'll be able to select the region. Let's say you want to select to a smaller region like the 1080. So you just click on it and you should be able to see this green dotted line surrounding a specific region. And when you move your mouse, when you move your cursor to the green boxes, small green boxes, you can change the region. Okay, you just drag and drop. Let me go back to my original one. Okay. So let's say I'm happy with this region and I'm using my microphone, and then I just click on start recording, okay? So this is a sample. You'll see a countdown 3, 2, 1. And then let's say, okay, this is a recording using the Camtasia recorder. And when you're happy with your recording, you can stop the recording. So you can see that there is a red Camtasia icon on the top of your MacBook menu bar, okay? This, you can look at my cursor, this red icon, you click on it, and you'll be able to see stop recording or pause your recording or start over. So if you click on a start over, what you have recorded just now will be erased. So you cannot really save that project. So, but if you're happy with your recording, you can simply click on stop recording. And then you wait for a while for Camtasia to generate your project. Okay. So now you'll be able to see this Camtasia being launched. Just now talk about the interface. So on the left-hand side is the toolbar and the media bin. And in the middle part is your canvas. And on the right-hand side is your properties. And underneath is the timeline. So just now I talk about the magnifying glass where you can zoom in and zoom out of your timeline. So let's say now you can get an overview. So you can even zoom out a little bit more, or if you want to have a detailed look between the seconds, you can click on the plus icon and you can see that there's a change in the time duration. So you can have a closer look in what is happening between the 4th second and the 5th second, okay? And this one, the blue arrow here, where I look at my cursor, this is called the playhead. So the playhead is for you to select to a specific time point and for you to edit the videos. And later on, we're going to use this playhead to make the cut. So just introduce you to this Camtasia project, how you can use the Camtasia recorder to do a screen recording, but we're not going to use this project, okay? So we have prepared the sample file for you to work on for the video editing, for example, like the split, the cut, as well as the audio. This narration project is just showing you how to use the Camtasia recorder. So let me just close this project. So what I want you to do is go to the sample project. So open your Camtasia, have the exercise files ready. This is a Mac breakout room, so we're just going to go to Mac. So you should have downloaded 2 files. One is called sample video _mac.cmploj. So this project file name is a Camtasia project. .cmploj is a Camtasia project. And another file is called new content.mp4. So we're not going to use the mp4 file for now. Just double click on the Mac project .cmploj project, and you should be able to see this file. Okay, so just now, toolbar, media, in the middle is the canvas, properties on the right-hand side, timeline underneath. In this project, we have 3 tracks. So track 1 is the video, track 2 is the audio. And to identify which one is the audio and the audio will have the waveform. So there's a sound. So if you have recorded your narration, you'll be able to see this wave of your voice, okay? On track 3 is a backup narration for the exercise later on. So the first function, just now we talked about the Camtasia recorder, and now we're going to talk about the video editing basics. So the first function that we're going to do is a simple cut. The first exercise that I want you to do is to edit out this content, this sample video slide. So I want you to start right at step 1. So how do you edit out the first content, first slide? We don't want this sample video to appear in this video. So what you're going to do is to use this playhead to drag, you just click on it, and then you scroll until you see step 1. And then you just leave the playhead there. And then to edit out, you select both of the tracks. So you just click on empty space on the timeline and you highlight the clips. Okay, you highlight all of the clips in that timeline. You see this yellow box highlighting the clips. And then you move your cursor to the beginning of the clips. So you see this 2-sided arrows. Look at my cursor. Originally is this a normal arrow, normal cursor. And then you scroll it to the beginning, you'll be able to see this 2-sided arrows. And you just click and drag until you hit the playhead line. And then you see this playhead line, this white line will change into yellow. And then you just let go. And then you have successfully cut the first part of the video. So your video will start with this slide, step 1, introduction of Camtasia interface. So make sure that after you have cut, you select all of the tracks in your timeline, and then you move it to the beginning of your video. If you don't move it, you can use the preview, you just use the canvas to preview. The first few seconds of your video will be black because you haven't moved the project. So you just highlight all of the clips and move it to the beginning of the video, okay? To the timeline, beginning of the timeline. And the next one that I want you to do later on is to use the playhead to split at a certain point. So you click on the blue playhead and then you drag until you see point 1. And to use the playhead to do a very simple split, you pause, you make the playhead to stop at point 1, and then you right click on the playhead. You see split selected and split all. So choose split all, and then you move the playhead. Let me show you, okay? So you see this cut line, and then the timeline has already been splitted. The clips have already been split into 2. So the next thing I want you to do is to select all of the clips. This is the second half of the clips, and move it a little bit backwards to create a space between the cut point. Then you go and import the second file, the new project file. So you go to media, you click media on the toolbar on the left-hand side here, and then you click on the plus icon at the corner. You click on the plus icon, you'll be able to see import media. You click on import media, and then, sorry, it should be new content. So import the second file, which is called the new content, and you click import. And then you see this being imported into the media bin. So you drag and drop the new content file into track 1. So let me zoom in the timeline. So now you have already imported the new content and you put it on track 1. So the next thing that I want you to do is let me zoom out, to drag and drop all of the clips and make sure that it's highlighted and just snap it to the new content. So you have successfully split it at a certain point, split at the middle, and then you add a new content. Sometimes maybe you've made a mistake in your project and you want to split it and add some new content that you have recorded. So this is a way that you can do. So I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to give you 1 to 2 minutes to work on it. Okay, so I'll move on to talk about the next function, which is adding annotations. Okay, so annotations. So on the toolbar on the left-hand side here, annotations, you can see, just click on annotations, and there are 6 tabs that you can choose. So the first one is callouts, second one's arrows and lines, third one shapes, blur and highlight, sketch motion, and keystroke callout. So we're going to focus on the first 2, callouts and arrows and lines. So the exercise that we're going to do is in step 3.2, is to add a frame to highlight certain things in your video. So the purpose of using annotation is to highlight essential information. So sometimes let's say if you're doing a video project for as one of your assignments, and you want your professor to look at certain information that you have included in the video project. So you can make use of callouts, arrows, and lines to indicate and to show your professor, okay, look here, this is what I have written, what I have added in the video. Or if you're working on a promotional video for a project in your society, your extracurricular activities, you can also use different functions under annotations to highlight essential information. You can use callouts, arrows, shapes to highlight certain information in the video. So what we're going to do in this exercise is use this callout to highlight examples and add text. Click here. So what you can do is to go to the third tab, Shapes, and then you select the black box in the second one. You just click, drag, and drop to above examples, okay? And let go. Just now talk about Canvas is for you to preview your project. So now you can see how it looks like as the end product. So let me go back, okay. So you add this frame to highlight examples, and you can simply use the small dots around this, the square to change the size. You just click on it, and then you resize, okay? So the cross icon is for you to move the whole shapes, okay, on your canvas. So you move it above examples, and then you resize it to a certain shape that you want, okay? And then the next thing that you can do is go back to the first tab and first tab, which is callouts, and then use this red box where speech bubble, and then you drag and drop to the canvas. Again, you can see there's a lot of small bubbles around the shapes, and you can change the tail, the direction of the tail, by dragging the small bubble at the tail towards examples. Let's say it's here. And then you can resize if you want. And to change the text in the middle of this box, you just double click ABC, and then you can type whatever you want to type. But in this exercise, I want you to type click here. Okay. So let's say if you are not happy with this black box, the color of this black box, you want to change this color. You click on this shapes again, and then you move on to the right-hand side, the properties. Just now I said you can change the color of the line, you can change the color of the text, you can resize, and this is the properties panel. So you see when you select the shapes, and then you under the properties panel, you see shape. And this is where you can change the shape to a different shape like ellipse or octagon or star, or you make it fill, or you change the color of the outline. For this exercise, I just want you to change the color of the outline, and you just click on the color box. Here you see this black because the current color is black. You click on the color, and you'll be able to change to a different color. Let's say color red, okay? And you can also change the style of the outline. And you can change it to keep it as a straight line, just like now, or you change it to a dotted line. You can also change the thickness by just changing this using the slider, and just slide right and left. And you can also change the opacity, whether you want it to look really fake or just make it more visible. And you can also do the same with this speech bubble, different shape underneath in the properties panel. You can change it to a thought bubble or speech bubble or just a square. And fill color as well as the outline color and the thickness. So I am going to pause right here, and for you to work on this exercise using annotations. Add a square, add a frame to highlight examples, and add the text. Click here. So I'm going to give you 2 to 3 minutes to work on this. So just now, after you have added a frame to highlight examples and add the text, and if you want to change the duration, as usual, you go to the timeline and then you select the annotation. So this will dictate like how long this annotation will appear in your video. So now you can see, let me zoom in of my timeline. So now if you use the canvas to preview, you click on the play button, you see that this lasts for around 2 to 3 seconds. So let's say if you wanted to make it longer to appear in your video project until until you see step 4. So you use your playhead and make it stop before you're seeing this step 4 slide, and you make it stop here. And then you just select that annotation. And you again, at the end of this clip, you see this 2-sided arrow. click and drag and drop. You just drag that whole annotation until you hit this playhead line. Same for this shape. Click on it and you'll see this yellow box highlighting it, and you just drag until you hit the playhead white line. So this will make sure that these two annotations, these two effects will appear at this point and until the slide content change, okay? So there are other annotations that you can use. Just now we've covered callouts and shapes. Let me go back to here. You can also use arrows and lines. And as usual, for all of the effects in annotations, you just click and drag and drop. Okay, so to just go back and just hit Command Z. Drag and drop, and then you can, as usual, you can change the line style, whether it's straight line or dotted line, change the color in the properties panel by clicking out the color block and change the color. So there's another interesting feature that you can use is the sketch motion. When you move your mouse and then you hover above the sketch motion, you'll see this the animation of this, for example, like this arrow. So let's say if you want to add an arrows pointing towards examples, and you again just click and simply drag and drop. You change the color to make it more visible. The default one is yellow, which is not really clear to look at. And you should be able to see this change the color under the properties panel. Let's say it's blue, okay, like a purple color. And then when you play the video using the canvas to preview, you should be able to see this animation. So the function is exactly the same as arrows and line, just like this one. It's just that this one will be a static image, but the arrows and lines will be like an animation hashtag appearing effect in your video. So let me go back. And if you don't want the animation, you just delete. You just right click and delete, okay? Or you use the delete key on your keyboard, okay? So moving on to the audio editing basics. So to edit your audio, let me zoom out of my timeline. So for the audio, one more thing, sorry. Okay, just now I explained about the layering system on the timeline. This one, using the annotation as the example, make sure that when you add annotation, the annotations, this two animation, the box is appearing above your video track. So you can try, if you change the order of track 1 above, move it above track 5, above track 3 and 4, it will cover the annotation because it's a layering system. So you have to make sure that whenever you add the annotation, it is above the original track of your video. So that's what I call the layering system. Yes. So this one is appearing above track 1, and this annotation is appearing above track 1, okay? Okay, so going back to the audio editing basics. So to edit your audio, just now I talked about how to identify your video and audio tracks. The audio tracks will be the one with the waveform. So when you click on an audio track, you see this green line. So this green line represents the volume level. So default one, it should be set at 100%. 100%. So let's say if you want to change it to increase the volume, you think that your narration is too soft and you want to increase the volume. So you can just click on this green line. You'll see this two-sided arrow, but now it's up and down. So you can simply just drag up and drag down. So drag up is to increase the volume, and to drag down is to decrease the volume. So another tips for you is to, what if you have a lot of audio clips being chopped up, like being splitted? And if you use my first method to changing the green line, you can only change one by one. So when you change this clip, the audio of this clip, you can only change the clip one time. But what if you want to change the narration? you want to change the volume of all of your audio clips in your video project. So to do this is to highlight both of the audio clip. When it's highlighted, you see this yellow box, and you go to the properties panel on the right-hand side, and you see the title is one and one other. That means that two of the audio clips are being selected. And here you see gain, G-A-I-N. So when you push it up, you slide up to 100%. That means you're increasing the volume. If you are sliding towards the left, you're decreasing the volume. So using this properties panel, the gain under the properties panel, you can change the volume of all of the clips. Once you've selected, you can change the volume of all of the clips in one go, okay? So I'm going to pause right here again for you to try out the volume audio editing function. So one thing that you can make use of in the toolbar is when you add your annotations, or later on if you want to try out yourself with the transitions and animations, you can always you can favorite some of the effects that you often use in this project, because there are quite a number of things that you can make use of. And sometimes you want to make the video style consistent, which is easier for the viewers to process. So you can make use of the favorites panel here in this toolbar. So how do you make it favorites? You just go to annotation and you see the star icon. So you click to remove, and you click to add a certain effects or certain annotations to your favorites panel. So then you can simply just go back to these favorites and drag and drop your effects to your canvas, okay? So because I feel like we still have some time, so I want to share some extra tips with you. So just now we talk about like cutting, and then you add your new content and you edit the audio. But you'll see in this project should be the same as your project as well. You see this video clip, this new content, this MP4 file has the video clip, the screen recording, and the audio being grouped into the same clip. So you see this, there is a gap between on the audio track, on track 2. So sometimes if you make use of the magnetic function, or the you want to make sure that, oh, when you move, you don't want to mess up the narration. And sometimes, okay, like what if if I make a mistake and then I move the audio clips and then overlap with the new content. So to do this is to click on the new content, and then you right click and you see a lot of things, but I want to focus on this one, separate video and audio. Originally, this MP4 file has a video clip and your audio clip, but you can actually right click and select separate video and audio. So then let me zoom in. You see this now, this video and audio being separated. The reason why is that let me go back. If you have grouped all of the content into the same clip, and there is a magnetic function on the timeline. So you can see each of the tracks, there is like this magnetic icon under the eye icon in the middle icon. If you click on it, it will automatically help all of the clips snap together. So sometimes it's useful when I move it here. It's useful when you have a hole in between and you don't have any new content to add. So you can select this track and you just snap it together, okay? But what if you have your new content added in the middle, but there's a gap in between? So it's useful for you, let me move it. So it's useful to use this separate video and audio function to make it more balanced. All of the video clips will be on track 1 and all of the audio clips will be on track 2. So this is a way for you to separate video and audio. And then now you can snap the clips together. So join it more properly between your splitted clips, okay? Okay, so this will, you can practice on your own. using the magnetic function after you split it or you have added your new content. So the last step that we're going to cover today is export your project. So let's say if you want to just save this project, you can go to File on the menu bar. On your Mac menu bar, you can see my cursor pointing towards File. You click on File, and you can see Save As. So this project is the sample file, so you can rename your project to another one. Let's say it's today's date, the 29th of March, and then you can save this project. Make sure that you take this checkbox, create a standalone project to create a new one of your current project. I'm not going to save it for now. Okay, so if you're still editing, you can save this Camtasia project ending with .cmproj. But if you're happy with all of the edits, you feel like, oh, all my audio video clips are ready, my audio is ready, and the annotations are placed correctly, and you want to export your video project, you can go to this export button on the top right corner, the green button, export. You click on export, and then you select local file, and then you just save your video project to an MP4 project, okay? So you can try exporting your finished project, or if you have any questions, please feel free to just unmute yourself and ask me, or you can type out your questions in the Zoom chat and I'll try to answer, okay? So now you can try out the functions that we have just demonstrated. You can play around with the functions, or you can try exporting and saving your project. So these are all of the functions that I'm going to cover today. Okay, so I am before we leave, let me send out the survey in the Zoom chat in case I forget. So if you're okay, or if you don't have any questions, you feel free to leave the breakout room, leave the meeting, and please help me to fill out the survey form. And if you